As we dive into the aftermath of one of the most buzzworthy off-seasons F1 has seen in a while, everyone's eyes are on Bahrain this week, where the 2024 cars will hit the track for the first time. But take the end-of-day leaderboard with a grain of salt. With all the different lap times, fuel loads and setups, it's not exactly the gospel truth. And let's not forget about sandbagging. Let's talk about sandbagging. If you've been an F1 fan for any length of time, you've probably heard the term thrown around, especially when testing rolls around. Remember how Mercedes used to play it cool with their lap times back during the hybrid era, only to come out swinging when it mattered. That's sandbagging for you. Teams holding back on their true pace to keep their cards close to their chest. So, come the end of testing on Friday, don't take the leaderboard too seriously. Every team has its own game plan during these 3 days, with different fuel strategies and tyre choices in play. But then again, Red Bull's been the team to beat in testing for the last 3 years, and look where that got Max Verstappen. 3 championships in the bag. So, maybe there's something to those lap times after all. So the 2024 F1 season got rolling today, with George Russell taking the Mercedes W15 out for a spin, kicking off 3 solid days of pre-season testing in Bahrain. With a hefty 24-race schedule on the horizon, this is where we get a first real peek at what the teams have been up to. The first few laps on the track were pretty uneventful. It was this key shakedown phase, and you saw a bunch of teams taking advantage to collect some aero rake data. The focus during this phase was all on getting the setup just perfect for the harder runs the teams got planned for later on. Verstappen really set the tone early on, dominating the morning session 7/10ths quicker than Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. He briefly lost the lead to Norris's MCL38 in the afternoon, but quickly snatched it back as soon as he got on those C3 compounds, the same ones they'll be using as the softest option in Bahrain next weekend. It seemed like everyone was favouring those tyres for their quickest laps. As the sun began to go down and the track cooled off, the 3-time world champion found another gear, shaving off an extra 3/10ths to secure the top spot of the day with a lap of 1min31.344s, a whopping second and a half quicker than his pace last winter in the same session. If we were to get really nitpicky, then from the looks of it, the RB20 looked a tad unresponsive at the front end early on, with some very noticeable understeer as well. But Verstappen found his rhythm pretty quickly, with the switch from the hard compounds to the soft C3s probably playing a part, and he was leading the pack once more. Red Bull also made a lot more low fuel runs compared to its competitors. 5 to be exact, 2 during the morning session, and then 3 more in the afternoon when the track was noticeably quicker. However, there's no denying that there's something intriguing about the RB20's new design concept. Those tiny side pods and the slim air inlets are doing some interesting stuff with the airflow, cutting down the dirty air from the wheels away and improving the diffuser's downforce generating capabilities. But despite their dominance on the track yet again, it's pretty much a given that Red Bull will have some more tricks up its sleeve come the Sakhir Grand Prix next week. Despite Verstappen's 143-lap dominance throughout the course of the first day, Norris wasn't too far behind. He had a much better start this year compared to McLaren's struggle last season. Norris put in 73 laps, adding on to Piastri's 57, and finished just 1/14 behind the Dutchman. And then there's Sainz in the Ferrari SF24, who was the first to hit the track in the afternoon. He ended up just a 10th behind Norris, nabbing 3rd place with his best lap coming in around the same time as Norris. The driving pairs of both McLaren and Ferrari looked pretty comfortable throughout the whole day. The cars seemed responsive, and with both teams getting some incredible mileage over the course of the day, it looks like they have a good foundation to now build upon as the season draws near. Switching gears to the team formerly known as AlphaTauri, now dubbed RB, seems like everyone's finally settled on the name. This year's car is borrowing a page out of the big sister team Red Bull's book, with a lot more parts sharing in a bid to climb up from the back of the grid. Zak Brown's had his say on the whole 2 teams under one owner debate, not exactly thrilled with the idea. But it looks like the RB isn't just a Red Bull clone, which should ease some of the tensions in the paddock. Tsunoda really showed early on what the V-Carb 01 could do, getting the power down early in those low and medium speed corners, outpacing guys like Ocon and Alonso in sectors 1 and 2. But it was the Honey Badger that truly showcased what the car had to offer as he made his mark in the afternoon, landing the 4th fastest time and showing he's right up there with the frontrunners from Aston Martin, McLaren and Ferrari. With just 48 laps under his belt, Ricciardo's best time was pretty impressive, just 15 milliseconds behind Sainz. Moving on to Lawrence Stroll's Aston Martin, the team came in this year hoping to build on last year's success that saw them nab 8 podiums, and if Fernando Alonso's stellar run in the morning and Lance Stroll's performance in the afternoon are anything to go by, it looks like they might have done just that with the AMR24. Sure, they haven't really pushed the AMR24 to its limits yet, but the fact that it's ticking all the boxes right out of the gate on day one is pretty promising. George Russell, alongside Max Verstappen from Red Bull, was the only other guy sticking it out behind the wheel for the whole session and clocking an impressive 122 laps, even with Mercedes taking some time out for car tweaks. Mercedes was clear from the get-go that their focus was always on gathering information about the new car rather than performance. True to that, Russell wrapped up the day 12th in the standings, trailing the frontrunner by 2.7 seconds. Russell shared his thoughts. "It was great to drive the W15 for the first time in anger today. From hitting the ground, it felt like we had a good foundation to start from. We completed lots of laps and have plenty of data to go through tonight. We ended the day in a reasonably good spot, and we can build from here over the next 2 days. We're focused on ourselves at this test, and it will only be next week where we see where we stack up against the others. It was a positive first day, and I'm looking forward to being back in the car on Friday." For Thursday's session, the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton is set to take the reins of the W15 from Russell. Alpine's day on the track was a bit of a head-scratcher. They came in with a car that's been completely revamped in terms of design for 2024, but it didn't seem to do them much good, at least not at first glance. Most of Wednesday's session had them languishing at the lower end of the timesheets, with Esteban Ocon's off-track excursion into the gravel adding a bit of drama to their morning. But then, just when you thought it was all doom and gloom, Pierre Gasly turned things around in the afternoon, snagging the 5th fastest time of the day. It was a bit of a plot twist, and despite the rocky start, the team didn't seem too rattled. Ocon, fresh from his stint of 60 laps, seemed pretty calm about the whole thing. "We completed the program," said Ocon. "We found things to improve. At the moment, we're just getting a read-through of where we have to go. Everything has been pretty good so far." So maybe Alpine's just playing the long game here. They've had their slow run ticked off their to-do list, and now they might just be gearing up to really show what the car can do. If so, it might spice things up a lot more in the midfield. Guess we'll have to wait and see if they've got a surprise up their sleeve as we edge closer to crunch time. So, who do you think was sandbagging on the first day? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest F1 news.